Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what is happiness to you? Instead of going about your life wondering and thinking about the things you don't want and experiencing more and more of that because you're continually looking for, in every engagement, every experience that you have, the things that you don't want to take with you or experience again. Have you ever stopped to think about, if I look at this whole holistic picture of the things I've experienced and I don't want, do I have enough now to recognize what I do want? And beyond recognizing what you do want, have you considered that maybe you are worthy of what you do want? Benjamin Franklin once said that most people are born and then they die at 25, but aren't buried till they're 75. They go about their lives kind of placating to a system and a construct of ideas and concepts, but where are they on their deathbed? And we know that the people who have had a lasting impact on the world and society at large are those who thought outside of the box. So why are we continually trying to push people into a box? Human traditions, our families, and culture alike all purport a narrative. And many people just go along with it because that's all that they can see. But there are others like you, perhaps, who can see beyond the illusion and is probably there just scratching your head wondering, is this really it? Is this really all there is to life? And people talk about an internal journey that's supposed to bring enlightenment and this happiness, and does it ever really? Because the world seems to be the same. Nothing seems to change, right? So what's the point anyhow? Well, you learn these things because it's the evolution of your soul. To see beyond the illusion, the veil, is to invite you into an inner journey, the hero's journey, as Joseph Campbell paints out for us, so that we can become more whole and full. And this journey is intended to bring you to your most authentic nature, yourself. In a world of conformity, the most dangerous thing you can do is be yourself. But a lot of people don't understand what that is. And then they shy away from it because they're afraid of what they're going to lose. Their whole world is going to fall apart. The friends that they have are going to fall away. The reality that they know is going to fall away. They're going to be ostracized by their family. And yet, it's so funny because this goes hand in hand with what Jesus said. Christ says, follow me and leave everything behind. Put your hand on the plow and do not look back. No one can follow me unless they are willing to leave their mother, their father, their brother, their sister, whatever. And then we have religious indoctrination, which says, we have the way. This is the church of God. And I just laugh because all you're doing is creating more division. It's your way or no other way. Because Christ himself didn't even come to proclaim a new faith or a religion. Oh, but Michael, you have a Christ-based clothing company. Yes, I do. Because Jesus does save, and he comes to you when you're ready to receive him. Again, he says no one can come up to the Father until I send him. But even in scriptures, he's telling us not to look at him, look at the substance within him. And then whether non-denominational or denominational Christianity, Catholicism, all profess that he came divinity in human form, but had the human experience, which means anyone with an intellect and the audacity to ask questions would find within themselves that if he had the full human experience, and so are we, divine, fallen into this world in a forgetful state, just as he had been. And what did he do? We don't know what happened between the ages of 12 and 30, right? But we have to understand that he took an inward journey wherever he was throughout his life to remember the truth of who he is. And one of the things that we oftentimes forget, that the scriptures even say, is that God says, I am that. I am. It's the first invitation that, let's say, Moses receives to not only know substance, but to explore that substance in our relationship with ourselves and the world of which we are in, the interconnectivity. And Jesus shows us a completely different persona than what was known in the Old Testament. He says that I and my Father are one. Anything I can do, you too can do. So then that would lead me to believe that somewhere within yourself, you too are united with the most divine. And so we cross the threshold. We have to choose. We play with the outward manifestation of things and try to find our place in it, or do we understand what our relationship to the outward manifestation is? What is it that our perceptions are reflecting back to us? And what does it mean for us as a whole? I'm not talking about the whole of our collective society. I'm talking about the whole. Let us not forget that even St. Paul says the whole intended purpose is for Christ to be formed inside of you. And so if Christ is the light of the world, you too are the light of the world. And we're told even in Scripture, nobody lights a candle and places it beneath a table. They put it on the top of the mountain or the table so that all the world can see. And yet you're all just trying to find a place to fit and perpetuate a continual cycle, and nothing actually gets changed. And most people are waiting for the return of Christ, and I'm here scratching my head wondering, what do you do between now and then? And are these people just creating a reality and inviting all of this chaos and whatnot in because they're too afraid of understanding what that power is within themselves, that God fashioned them to be? So many people operate from the mind, and the mind is fractured. Your ego, your persona, the personality, based off of the conditioning and experiences that you've held and you've had, and oftentimes hurtful because, life can be cruel. That's undoubted. Undoubtedly true. And so you pick up your pants and you keep putting one step in front of the other, but you're not seemingly getting anywhere. You're still walking up the same mountain but sliding down, walking up the same mountain, sliding down. It's getting more and more tiring until you finally hit rock bottom and you're like, what the fuck? Nothing is as it seems. But I'm going to tell you that that is the greatest invitation that you will ever receive, because it forces you to really examine everything you've been doing and the reality of the world in which you think you are a part of. Go inside and ask the questions that most people are reluctant to ask. Is this all there is to life? Why is it so painful and hard? Oh, but I have to be nice. No, you don't. You have to be kind. You should be kind. But you shouldn't forfeit the power that you have within you to be a conduit for good in the world around you. The only way for evil to survive and win and thrive is for good people to do nothing. So what do? That's for you to figure out. That's for you to go inward and understand what your substance is, just as Jesus has invited us to. So yes, I have a clothing brand that is about the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, because we are spirit, we are of God, and we will return to God. But what we do between now and then is the core calling of our being, to discover our innate nature. Just as He is the I am, so are you. What is that though? So personal transformation is an invitation for you to understand what that core substance is and to abide in it, and not to put on a mask just to fit in with the sheep and the crowds and what you think you've known that has not actually served you or benefited you. Partake in society, do your thing, have fun. That's great. Nobody's telling you not to. We're just trying to encourage you to recognize that with great power truly comes great responsibility, and too many of us have forfeited that responsibility because we shun away from examining the truth that is within ourselves. And we hide in the lies that have been put upon us through the conditioning, the family traditions, and the expectations of others, rather than trying to identify what is real, intangible, and worth living for within ourselves. Pursue your noble callings. Just understand why you're doing it, because the world is going to meet you with hostility and try to conform you to do things that are going to sabotage your soul. Don't kill your conscience. Discover the truth of who you are and pursue that, because that is what is desperately needed. I mean, if you consider that the elections in the United States are coming up, and what I'm hearing the Pope say is that you're choosing between the lesser of two evils, that should raise awareness to say, hey, what do I actually think about what's going on? And if I have this one life to live, the reality is that we're all called to ascend, so that we can leave a positive footprint. What does that look like to you? What kind of world do you want to leave your children? Do you want to repeat the cycles of what you've known, or are you the black sheep trying to find your way in the world? You are who you are. You're going to continue to run from it. So, no, I don't just operate a clothing company. I'm all about personal transformation. I hit rock bottom, and I had recognized leading up to then that the systems in place didn't serve me. I was kind of tired of conforming to what was. I had to understand life from a different perspective, and that brought me onto the spiritual path. People are afraid of what's within you. Don't be one of them.